Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Life and death. Two sides of the same coin. It's part of the human experience. We have the tendency, especially in the West, try to avoid to think of death. Although everybody knows sooner or later we have to get out of this story. Still, somehow, we have learned to simply push it away, that awareness. Because it's always connected with threat, something to fear, something that is terrible, that ends the story. We can also have a totally different attitude. If you are aware that this story one day is finished, and no matter what we have accumulated, all is being left behind, we can make that awareness that this is temporary, that this is not something that we are going on and on forever, but it's a temporary experience, can give us a much healthier perspective from day to day. Whatever we are facing, whatever challenges that are coming, the happy moment, the sad moments, if that awareness is there, okay, it's a momentary experience, eventually we get out of it, then we can have a much more healthy, sane perspective. The values are changing. If somebody tries to push that away and is totally fixed on the day-to-day little achievements, one can get very, very obsessed with things that if we step a step back and think, okay, this is just a temporary role that we are playing in this theater. That obsession doesn't come in because we stop taking the same thing so serious and learn to give more importance to that which counts, that we live here now intensely, getting richer for the experience, living consciously. Now we are alive. Now the experience is alive. All else is calculation. All else is memory, expectations. If we live like this, we accumulate an enormous wealth that we are taking along with us. If we forget about this, being conscious in the present, and are totally fixed on our story, then of course we're getting obsessed with all kinds of little things. How much wealth we accumulate, what kind of position we have in the story, what do people think about us, our relationships, how they are exactly turning this way, that way. If we would, instead of that, bring the attention to the present, knowing, okay, for the time being, this human experience is there. Eventually, we get out of it, then we could live so much more intensely, fully connected with life, with consciousness, with the bubbling beauty of existence of now. Now people are getting a bit more aware because there are everywhere all these unexpected sudden deaths. So suddenly people get a bit shocked and think a bit more of it. But unfortunately, we have learned to think of that with fear. That's something terrible that we try to push away and not to think about. It's good to become aware that that which is alive, that which you are feeling here, now, that which makes the present experience possible, is simply life itself and cannot die. It's just the story that has a beginning and has an end. The role that we are playing, we pick it up and we give it up. But that which makes the experience possible, that which is alive now, that sense of presence is absolutely independent of that human experience, that human form. The awareness that we are dying can be a powerful help if we are not filling it up with fear and try to push it away and suppress the fact that invariably is there. But one day we have to get out. If we are not suppressing that, but remind ourselves, okay, it's temporary. It helps us to be so much more relaxed about what is happening from day to day. It helps us to find sane priorities, not chasing after unnecessary things with obsessive force, but playfully go about it. If we want to achieve something, okay, we can achieve something. Knowing it's part of the play, it's there for some time, it will pass away. Now, I've started to talk about that because our friend Marie has sent me a voice message. A very close friend. She knew that he had cancer, but then she didn't know how grave it was, and suddenly she got the message he died. And that was a total shock because he was like a brother to her. They had started the spiritual quest together by doing the Course of Miracles together and have grown close like brother and sister. And then when that message came that he died, it was really a total shock. And along with it, of course, a lot of sadness comes, but also regrets. Regrets, why have I not made more contact recently? Sadness is bound to come. When we have beings with whom we are close, even if we have not much contact, it's always there in the consciousness. We can make conscious contact whenever we want. And then suddenly there comes that information, oh, that contact is not possible. And the reaction is sadness. And then it can happen like Marie described. There are regrets. I should have made more contact. But obviously, Marie, your friend has chosen to rather be withdrawn in his last period and not make much contact. That's a choice that he has made. He could also have made more contact if he wanted contact, but many people, they want to be with many other people when they are aware that's getting closer to leave this world, but others, they rather withdraw more and are happy to be by themselves and focus on themselves, especially people who have been aware in their life for quite some time, especially people who have understood this is a temporary experience, and then they are aware it's getting closer to get out, and often they also like to make the best out of the remaining time by not having too much external contact, but focusing on their own experience. I don't know whether this is what happened with your friend, but it's possible that because he also didn't make contact with you. So never mind that you did not make more contact. It has happened like this, it's past. And then after the voice message, she wrote also after that, she could also find an aspect of self-pity in it. Of course, the tendency is there. When we feel sad about something, and especially there is a big sadness about the passing of a beloved friend, then immediately that self-pity has the tendency to sneak in. And actually, it's that aspect that makes it really terrible, heavy. Out of habit, we are having the tendency to indulge in self-pity easily, no matter for what reason, without even being aware of it. But it's very good that you caught that, because when you see it, you can let it go. And it immediately will also change the mood of the whole situation, which you have already found out. If we can accept facts as they are, even if we don't like them too much, but accept them, they are as they are. And in this situation, the fact is that your close spiritual brother passed away and is not more available on this human level. If we can accept the fact, then already the whole situation is very different. Still, sadness may come, but sadness, if we don't mix self-pity into it, is not a bad experience. It's only when with the sadness, then we start to feel so sorry for ourselves, then we are draining our life force away. But otherwise, sadness isn't a part of the human experience. We can very well accept the sadness, be with sadness, experience the sadness, see what it is doing to the experience right now, physically, energetically. And then it's not a terrible experience. If we don't resist, it can become extremely beautiful and expansive. And when there are regrets that want to sneak into the mind, then simply have a good look at yourself, and you connect with your friend, with that being that has manifested as your friend. And instead of regrets, you just send him love and the best wishes for wherever his journey takes him. Don't hold him back. Don't be sticky about it. Don't hold him back with regrets and I should have done this and should have done that. It's hurting yourself. It's not a good influence for him. And even if these thoughts come, and that feeling comes of regret, then also accept that that feeling comes, watch it, what it is doing, but don't buy into it. Just watch it, how it's manifesting, and relax, and it will soon pass. And if you are not indulging in this kind of emotions and connect with somebody who has passed, then naturally a very warm, beautiful feeling, a very warm, beautiful sensation comes. And we connecting with them, and best is just to wish them well and let them go. Not try in any way to stick to them. Make them stick to you. Essentially, we are anyhow connected with everybody, with everything. It may be that we meeting the beings that are projected out of the same divine being, again in other forms, because of a natural attraction. Or maybe we are going totally different ways, but in the essence, we are anyhow connected with everybody. That connection cannot be lost because there is nothing that is outside of that which is. So even if there is sadness, we just have to be watchful not to slip into self-pity. When the self-pity comes, see it, let it be there for a moment, and send it away. If there is sadness, there's nothing wrong. We can feel that sadness and connect with another being that has departed. But that sadness is not sticky. It's not trying to hold that other being back. But within that sadness, something very beautiful and warm and benevolent is there. And we can send that. So whenever regret comes, then the moment you see that you are slipping into that trait of regretting, and just don't buy into it. Don't feed it. Don't think, oh, yes, I should have. No, okay. Things have passed the way they are have passed. So what? You are anyhow connected. And then, when you connect without regret, automatically there is pure beauty and love that flows from you to that being. It's best for you, and it's best for that being also. Okay. I'm leaving the subject now, and I come to a question that Jamie has asked me to talk about. Just been doing quite some work on old emotions, maybe traumas that are stuck in the subconscious, and then they come up. And in that context, I think that's the main point of the question. Then, because she has also learned to disconnect from that level and be aware of that aspect that is not affected by it. And now the question comes up, but then if I'm doing that, am I not avoiding a confrontation that should be there, that I have to work out certain things on that own level? And if I'm just withdrawing into the impersonal, Am I simply postponing that one? And this is not so. If things come up and we don't want to see them and somehow manage to suppress them, push them back in the subconscious, then you are avoiding the confrontation. And invariably, it's still there and nagging and creating uneasiness, sometimes problems, sometimes diseases, sometimes just physical pains. And sooner or later, we have to face it. But if we are aware of something that comes up, but that at the same time, turn the attention back to that which is not affected, that is prior to that. We are not suppressing the situation and the feelings again. If a memory comes up loaded with emotions, and we just see it, but then don't go after it at the same time, just connect with that sense of presence that is prior to that. And become absorbed into that sense of presence. It's in that way we are also removing the emotional charge, actually very powerful. The emotional charge that is still sticking to that memory, to that trauma. If it's not possible to withdraw into that peace of simply being, because whatever comes up is just disturbing, then it's good to surrender to the fact, okay, it needs to be worked on. Then it's better not to push it away and try to suppress it again. That is simply postponing the thing. But then accept, all right, let it come up, let me confront it, let me experience again, now, in the present, what the memory is doing, what the emotions are doing, what the energies are doing, physically, energetically, emotionally, intellectually. And in observing that, try not to get lost in the past stories, but be in the present and learn to relax. And gradually, these tensions disappear. The charge is unloaded. We may do it in one session and something is gone, but it may also be gone temporary and still be charged and come up another time. And if we just can observe it and leave it and come back to that simple sense of being, that sense of presence, then we need not go after it again at that moment, at least not. Because that's not postponing. In this way, actually, very powerfully unnecessary tensions and charges can be removed. But if it's still the next time too strong, creates restlessness, then again, we can accept, okay, I have to do some direct work on that level itself, again, by accepting it to come up, feeling the feelings, seeing what it is doing physically, energetically, and learn to relax in it. And that time, again, a lot of the tensions disappearing. Certain things may come again and again and again until they are neutralized and they are just a story. Some things we may have just to look at once and it's gone. It depends how strongly it has been charged and suppressed, hooked into the subconscious. But don't be afraid that if you are simply coming back to yourself, in the silence of the now, that you are avoiding something. We can sometimes, just being in that silence, let go of whole fields of trouble without having to go into them at all. The only way to postpone it is when we see it, it comes up, and then, oh, I'm not ready to face it, and I'm somehow pushing it right back in the subconscious. That, of course, is not the solution. But it's not an avoidance. To be consciously conscious, consciously alive in the present. That's the most beneficial way of existing. Make this into your home, into your base, into the perspective from where you are functioning. The more we are capable of being rooted in that, the better we can deal on all the levels, including all the old stuff that may come up that we still have stored in the subconscious and that needs to be worked on. This actually, being aware of an old story, of a trauma that comes up, but then root your experience in the silence of beingness and seeing it from that perspective is the most powerful way of removing the charges. If it's too violent, the charge, and we can't do that, then of course, good, go into it. In whatever way. There are so many techniques developed how to deal with it. Everyone can do it in their own way. But then work on it. But never sabotage yourself thinking that if I'm simply going into that silence, that I'm avoiding a confrontation that I should work on. Don't worry, those that needs to be worked on, they come all by themselves. We don't have to go and dig for them. We don't have to go and search for them. If there is something more to work on, there is something more to work on. Be silent, be here, be in touch with that bubbling beauty of existence now. And then all that comes and disturbs us from that we may have to give for some time a bit more attention. But never be afraid that you somehow missing a chance to work on something by being immersed into that. This is the most beneficial way of existing and dealing with all the levels. Okay, I leave this subject also. And now I'm asking you, my friends, is there anybody here who would like to say something? You're welcome to come in. I know it's a bit abrupt every time I talk, and then suddenly I call you. But still, if there's anybody who would like to come, you're welcome.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Leora.
You brought up this subject. One about death and the other one also. So I have two things about death. I've been talking about it also here. And it's also connected to the actually next subject. I do feel somehow that I have less fear.
Very good.
Also, also, as I told you, I made this contract with the company to have my body burnt.
Yeah.
After my death.
Right.
However, the other day I thought, like, the woman suggests I had to pay some money now a little amount of money. And then she said, if you wish, you can pay all the money. And I thought, yes, why not? When I have the money in the bank, I can pay the whole and forget about it. But also now listening to you on the other day, also I thought, spending so much money now on what happens after I die. I mean, of course, I know I can die tomorrow, but also, who knows? So I thought, well, no. I mean, the money will be there anyway. If my children will need the money, they will take it from my account. But now listening to you also, I thought, yeah, leave the money in the bank. I mean, it's a bit awkward for me. It feels a bit awkward to pay now. And then, so you say I can talk about it and go easy about it. I mean, now I feel very relaxed talking about it, and even with a slight sense of humor. And sometimes I wonder if I don't actually push it, like ignore the fear, or developing such a strong resistance to actually feel the fear. But I remember I used to feel the fear. I used to become like, for 1 minute, like, wow, this is actually going to happen to me, and then get crazy for 1 minute and come back.
Yeah.
Like wake up and like sit in my bed and say, oh my God, I'm going to die one day. And it would make like a big mess in my whole being, and then I would relax again. And I do feel now that there is less fear, but as I said, I wonder if I like reject the fear, and but also I feel that. But if it's not there, why should I bother? I mean, fear,
exactly. It's a thing of the human mind to always ask again, but maybe something is wrong. Even if something is developing in a good direction, then always wondering, maybe something is wrong there. But of course, if you can think now of the fact that that is part of that human experience without getting terrorized immediately, that means you have become more self-conscious and it has lost its sting. Sometimes the fear may come back, but don't in any way now create a problem where there is no problem. Like, oh my God, my fear is gone. Am I doing something wrong? Am I pushing it away? No, of course. Wonderful if you can think of the fact that this story is one day finished without getting into terror, but to remain totally neutral and normal about it. It's nothing sad, but God, thanks God that we are not doomed to stay here forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, so that brings me to the second question about the situation in Israel and the protest. When I feel that actually I really have to and want to be there, at the same time, sometimes I can't go to a demonstration if I'm dependent on, because I don't have a car, then I have to go with friends. And but also it's not so great. It's a long drive, and you have to look for parking but then I feel deeply that I have to be there. And also I want to be there because I want to be able to tell after to myself and to others, I was there at the protest when we have created the change or managed to change the decision. And at the same time, I say to myself, but you can actually protest from your home.
Right.
first of all, I can watch it on the, of course, on the Facebook. I mean, there are lives where I can watch it. I can light candles at the same time when the demonstrations in Israel are happening. It's like, it takes a few hours in different places. I can put candles on my windows if I want to come out with it a little bit. There are many things I can do to express. So maybe other people can also see that I protest, even though here where I live, maybe it's not such a great idea. In this small village, people are a bit, yeah, I don't know what, but maybe it's not a good idea. Yeah, so I'm sharing this. I don't really have a question, but I'm just like sharing.
But I have some things to say about it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you have seen there is also a questionable aspect of the motive in it, that you want to say, be able to tell to yourself or to others that you have been there, is taking your role again a little bit too serious.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And actually, there is that heaviness in the atmosphere, and there is a force who really tries to push people into something negative, into depression, into feeling not bad. And the most powerful protest and the most constructive way of disobeying and not playing along with that destructive force is not feeling like that. Be happy in yourself here now. That's the greatest protest. If at the same time you feel you should go out, you should be part of the demonstration, walking the roads, by all means go. But then simply because you feel it's the right thing to do. If that idea comes in, then after that I can tell everybody and myself I've been there. There is again the me story, wanting to be a bit important, and maybe there you can drop that aspect. But really, the greatest force, the greatest protest is not to be a subject, a slave, a victim of that force that tries to drive people into something very negative and destructive. It's very active all around the world. And if everyone who sees it and doesn't give way to that, but learns to be at ease, at peace, learns to touch the joyousness of existence, is actually protesting in the most powerful and constructive way already. So by all means, protest against that pressure of darkness there. And if you feel like, go walk on the road. But remember, that's not so much the external walking that matters, but your inner work. That is the most important and the most powerful one.
Yeah, I remember you told me that before. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Werner.
Anyhow,
thank you for reminding.
I wish you well in your adventures.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
I want to talk about a little about that situation that I had recently when I had some fear when my close person threatened was in a so deep darkness mood and said that she wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And I yes, and I look at my reactions, and now everything is okay, but I understand that it can happen, and I want to understand for myself how to behave, because I see that I have this some kind of fear, and I don't want to live in it.
Yeah.
And I when situations like this happens, I always have a question in my mind what to do. Just I can to ignore it, like to think that this is some kind of manipulation, or I should support. Of course, I mean that now I see that first thing that I should do is support, and then to see maybe I should call some specialists, some doctors who can help, or I don't need to do it. So it is just some kind of manipulation. And I have these doubts in my head all the time when this situation happens, and I try to connect with myself and to feel, to hear what to do, and the answer can be different, and still in my head these doubts and what to do.
Yeah.
Just wanted to share it. Maybe you can say something about it.
If somebody really wants to make an end to their life, actually they simply do it, and then it's done. All those people who always threaten they are going to commit suicide, it's actually a call for attention, but in a screwed up way. Then if you give too much attention, no, I don't want it. So it's a bit a tricky situation, but somebody who really is decided, I want to finish my life, they simply do it. They don't go and always threaten. I don't want, I'm going to commit suicide, knowing perfectly well how people are reacting and getting all scared and emotional about it. So it's a strategy of such people to make you running and your mind spinning. Now, should you call somebody, some professional help? I wouldn't do that without the consent of that person. If you have an idea, something could be good, then first communicate with that person, whether they would be okay with it, and then you can make the connections, but not like force something like this on them. And also not run too much after them, because then comes immediately also with, again the block and that yang and I want this and you want this and connect and be open and transmit the feeling that you are here. And if there is a readiness to communicate, to connect, you are there. That is the most important. Not so much that you should now somehow force yourself too much on that person and also force some kind of external treatment on her. If you have a good idea that feels good for you and you tell her and she's okay, then it's okay. But otherwise, no. Leave it develop by itself. If you are here in your heart, know that you are open, that you want to be here for her, then transmit somehow that feeling. And you can always again look, connect, but don't march in and somehow take control. but give that person the freedom to make the steps to connect. Give that person the confidence that you are there, that they can connect. That's the best thing you can do. And then somehow have faith in yourself and the universe and destiny that the right things are going to happen out of it.
Okay, yes, thank you, Werner. I learned to do it, not to make so fuss and
Yeah.
don't to play a game as a god. Yes, just to take my hands off and
Yeah.
just follow what happens, and yes, to be here, to be available, as you say.
Right.
Yes, I see.
Without getting too much in the game, because threatening to commit suicide is a very powerful game to manipulate people.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
we don't have to buy into it and play along with it. At the same time, obviously, you feel close and you feel concerned about that, you can transmit that feeling, but at the same time make her clear that she has to contribute. She cannot just manipulate you the way whatever she wants to do.
Mhm. Okay, yes, I see it. Yes, and I try to remind myself that anyway, everything is in the hands of God. What happens, I don't know. Who knows?
We
Yes,
can do what we can do. We can play our role. At the same time, we can have that faith that there is a benevolent power running, supporting this whole show. We are asked to play our role. At the same time, we don't have to take our part too serious. Okay, let's play it. Let's do what we can, and then at the same time surrender and leave it in God's hand, in cosmic hands.
yes, okay. Thank you very much, Werner. It's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? I see there is one camera on, but maybe not for talking. Oshri, do you want to say something? Because your camera is on. You have to unmute that. Yes, right. That.
I can take it off.
It's not that you wanted to come in and talk.
It was on from the beginning.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Just usually I'm asking people to turn the camera off because my connection is not too fantastic. And if all the cameras are on, it takes much more information. So I'm asking the people who want to say something to turn the camera on, and then after that, rather off again. But since you are here, if you want to say something, you're welcome. You don't have to.
I hope to see you on Tuesday.
Oh, you're here in Tiruvannamalai.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. See you on Tuesday.
Yeah. You're an. I hope to. I'm like an old devotee of you.
I've seen you before, huh? Have I?
We met several.
Oops. Now I don't hear you. Somehow the connection doesn't quite work.
We several times in person.
Sorry, Oshri, I cannot understand you. You are totally breaking up. I think on your side, the connection doesn't quite work so well right now. But maybe you're turning the... If you want to say something, we can try again. But otherwise, you maybe turn the camera off. So then we are...
I've seen you several times in the past, and we haven't met personally, and I hope to see you soon.
Ah, yeah. And now you are near, you are here. So then I guess we are, we'll meet. Yeah.
I'm taking you as my beloved teacher, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, if you don't want to right now go into something, then we leave it at that for today. Shall we? Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Here comes somebody. It's Andreas. Hello, Andreas.
Hello, Werner. Do you have any advice how to let go of things? Last Saturday and Sunday, there was a fire in the house of my mother. It wasn't a big problem, but I had a lot of stuff in the cellar from stuff of mine and her, and I had to go there and clear it out and throw away most of the stuff.
Yeah.
And I just realized I'm too much attached to stuff. You know, I mean, some of it was valuable, some of were nice things, and I had to throw away nice things, which was kind of sad. But the whole thing, I thought, and then I brought it back to my apartment, and everything stunk, or stinks. And I just have thrown away much more stuff. You know, I thought like, oh no, but it was really hard in a way. Any advice how to? I feel I'm not so much afraid of dying myself. I'm more afraid of losing stuff or feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
Any advice for that?
Right, but then if you are thinking of the stuff that is accumulated, and then you are really watching your reaction honestly, you may be surprised that you find out that most of the time it's not something that makes you happier, that it's more a burden that we are carrying along. All that stuff that is accumulating, then okay, it's connected with the fear of losing it. At the same time also, it's there, needs attention, needs time, needs work. And although when you have something in your hand and you think, oh, it's too bad, I cannot throw this away, I cannot give it away somehow, it's too dear to me. But if you really look at the reaction, at the emotion that most of the time comes when you look at the whole of those possessions, is rather, oh, it's quite a burden. And when you see that, then it's getting easier to detach from it and maybe reduce that burden rather than increase it. Increase it. It's then in the mind that I'm more, you said I'm not so much afraid of dying, but I'm a bit afraid of losing things, but that's also somehow an idea that we can pick up and then hold on to it. But if you really sincerely look at your reaction deeper than the thoughts and the calculating mind with the things, then it's easy to see for everybody actually that too much of stuff that is accumulated that doesn't serve a particular purpose, but is simply there because we have accumulated it somehow. It feels rather like, poof, it's a burden, and maybe it's better to rather reduce it.
Yeah, but some of the stuff was kind of like, I thought like, okay, this is valuable. I could sell it if I take the effort.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I thought like, I mean, I couldn't get everything in the car anyway, but I thought, should I take the effort and get a little bit of money for it, or should I just like throw it away? And this was kind of the problem too.
No, it's only a problem if you make it in a problem. If you have the opportunity to sell that stuff, sell it. By all means, you get some euros out of it. And otherwise, if you see nobody's going to buy it, then okay. Thank you for that, having accompanied me so far, but then good riddance now. Let's get rid of it.
Okay.
One day,
Yeah.
nothing of all that stuff remains. The moment you step out of that Andreas role, this life game story is over. Then the whole big bunch and all that is connected with it is gone in one moment. And you are free. And I can tell you that for sure, then when you are gone and you become aware of that freedom that it brings, there will be not one little bit of regret about all that stuff. And it's better to learn to adapt a bit of that attitude also, as long as we are in the story.
Yeah. I suppose, I mean, when the stuff has a certain value, I mean, I'm attached to like the money that is behind it, because
Yeah.
it gives me some kind of security.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. So I guess that's behind all of that. That I think, oh yeah, the money gives me security and assures me some kind of comfort, so that I can have some freedom too.
You don't have to throw away your money, and if there is stuff that is valuable, but at the same time, still somehow cluttering your space too much, then you can also turn it into money or exchange it to something that takes much less place. If you buy instead a gold coin, then maybe you have it in such a place than a big thing that stands in your corner.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hariom, hariom, hariom. Is there anybody else who would like to come? Let's see how many people are here. 20 people. In these 20 people, is there anyone who would like to say something? What we just talked about with Andreas, it may be looked at as insignificant, but then what in the face of reality is significant. And we can very much connect it with what I have been talking in the beginning. Life and death. If we remember that everything is temporary, then we start to develop a very healthy relationship towards things, with people, with situations, with our wealth. We can very well play the role and be reasonable and have common sense. Like as I just said to Andreas, you don't have to throw away your money or valuable things. But if you feel at the same time that there is something too much, you can also get rid of it and exchange it in something that is not being felt simultaneously with something that is valuable as a burden that we are carrying along. The two are not opposites, that we are developing a healthy attitude. Be aware. Everything is temporary, and that awareness gives a detachment, that we are becoming aware. I'm not dependent on anything. My happiness, my security, my sense of completion comes out of myself. This security from outside is a wrong, false sense of security. And if we are aware, we are clear about it. That security is temporary and can be taken away like this. Nevertheless, nothing wrong having common sense and somehow doing with what you have, even if it's temporary, on this level, that which makes the most amount of sense, but in such a way that it is not always disturbing, that we don't feel that this thing is something that I have to worry about all the time, or that is something that feels like a burden that is limiting my inner beauty, disturbing my inner beautiful development. If it does, it's good to do something about it. But that doesn't mean we have to simply throw it away and think then it's gone. Because if we do that as a reaction, then after that there comes the regret reaction, and there it goes on. In the Indian tradition, it has long looked at something extremely valuable to one day just say, okay, enough of it, and walk away from the environment, from the family, from the possessions, and become a wandering sannyasi in the spiritual quest. This is certainly one way to go about it. But it's only for very few people that this is right. There are many people who try it and then they become just concerned all the time what they are eating next, and just orange-clothed wandering beggars that are not more spiritual on the way than what they were before when they were involved more in the world. So this just giving up everything may be a way for a few people for whom this is right. But the real giving up is learn to be detached. Even if possessions are there, even if we have a home, even if there is a relationship, even if there is a family, we can learn to be detached. Detachment doesn't prevent us from being reasonable on that level, doing what we feel is good to do, that I and mine can maybe eat and continue to exist without having troubles. Whether after that it's working out or not is another thing, but we can learn to detach, and with that detachment we let go of worrying about that, being fixed on that level. And if we are detached, then that inner spiritual natural beauty can develop, whether we are living in the world with little possessions or with a lot of possessions, alone or in a family, or whether we are a wandering monk. Often people have come to Ramana Maharshi asking, please Bhagavan, grant me the permission to take sannyasa, to take the ochre robe, that I can walk away, that I can live as a sannyasi. And in nearly all the cases, I know of one exception, but in nearly all the cases, Ramana Maharshi told them, come on, you just want to escape from your duties and from your obligations and from your burdens. But if you go with that attitude into the role of a sannyasi, you just will do exactly the same and identify with the circumstances of being a sannyasi, and the same thing will continue there. No, no, no. Go home, do your duties, have your possessions, have your family, and do your practice, do your self-inquiry. That is what matters. Now he said self-inquiry, you can do it in any way to connect with that which matters, no matter what the circumstances. For that we have to learn detachment. And detachment is not measured by the amount of possessions one has. It's simply measured by the lightness that is developing when we get detached, when we are not more making the circumstances, the possessions, the relationships, the situation into the source of our happiness, but become aware, I am independent from that. I am the source of my happiness. That completion that everybody is looking for is in oneself. That security everybody craves is in oneself. It doesn't come from the circumstances. Temporary, we may create a little bit security. It's fragile, I can collapse in one moment. If we are clear about that, we can play our role, we can live our life. Now, Andreas mentioned the comparison, the fear of that comparison, of the fear of that, or the fear of losing things. Actually, the fear of that is nothing else, but that fear of losing all that I am now identified with, this personality, and not knowing what is going to happen after that with all this gone. The fear of losing one's possession is basically rooted in the same, that somehow my happiness is dependent on a certain circumstance. And so there comes the fear of that my sense of fullness is dependent, that I am that person I know so well. Then I feel somehow in control of the situation and feel secure, but it's something that we have created in the mind, and that security based on that is as fragile as anything can be. In one moment, or it can be gone. So to treat the fear of that and treat the fear of losing things is the same thing, that we become aware, okay, it's there, temporary, we play a game, we play a role, but I am free, I am independent from that. My happiness is not dependent, my sense of completion, my security is not dependent on any of this. Even if it's not a direct experience, just to remember, to remind oneself, to look in the right direction already helps and change the outlook. How we deal with the present situation, how we deal with the day-to-day life. I'm asking again. Is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome. There you are again. Hello, Andreas.
Hello. In Buddhism, they say like the moment of death is very crucial for like where you go in the next life, or you can attain enlightenment if you deal with it in a good way. Can you say the same thing and give some advice how to?
It's not only in Buddhism, also Hindus have a notion like this. Yeah, that the last moment is very crucial. If somehow you manage to die with God's name on your lips, then you may get liberated straight away. Right. I mean, all those traditional teachings, they somehow try to catch the people and make them more conscious. If you think like this, that this last moment of your life is extremely important, but you never know when that last moment comes, it helps you to make you more alert how you are living in the present. And I'm very sure how alert, how conscious you have been living your life is much, much more important than that one little moment when you're really leaving the body. It's already somehow a current that is pointing in a certain direction. One little moment is not going to change that. But you know, the traditions, they always use tricks to help people to make themselves more conscious. And that's a good thing, because if we live more alert, we're getting much more out of our life than if we are living half asleep. And if you have this kind of concepts, it may, to some people, help them to be very alert, thinking, I don't know whenever I die, so let me be alert and train myself to think in the good direction, to connect with the divine. Then I may be able to do that at the time of that.
Is meditation a good training for that? Like in the way I meditate, I try to just let go of my self-image basically, and connect with the divine. And that's, I mean, I would imagine that's the thing I have to do in my last moment too.
Right, that's I mean, meditation is very good, and then try to keep that attitude when you are not officially meditated as good as you can. It's not that you have to somehow think, okay, I'm doing faithfully my meditation every day, and the rest of the time I forget about it, and then maybe because of my meditation training in the last moment, I can have the proper attitude of doing the right thing. Don't be afraid of that. Not even be afraid of maybe doing the wrong thing at that moment and messing up your chance. If the moment comes, there that the alertness comes. If you have trained to be alert, then it's much easier. And in that alertness, automatically, for somebody who has already opened up to truth, to the essence, to the light, will do that in such a situation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. It's good to become aware that death is not something that happens just one day. Okay, it may be a major event in this story that I'm giving up this person. But death is happening every moment. Every moment, something is there, and we have to let it go. And if we have difficulties to let the present moment go, then we hang on to it, and it's a burden, and our life force is strained, holding on to the memory of the moment before, trying to keep it alive, give it a reality that it doesn't deserve. It's just a memory. The reality is only now. So in a way, being alive means to learn to die all the time. And the more we are capable of letting go, the more we are capable of dying every moment, the more life becomes spontaneous, beautiful, innocent. A joyous, playful journey, as it is basically meant to be. I saw you trying to come in again, Liora, but because I talked and talked, you went
Yeah, I
out.
want to ask
Yeah.
about like Buddhism and what I'm actually practicing now, because I don't like I used to be able to say, yeah, I practice Buddhism. Now I don't know what I practice really.
Now you would like
Because-
to know what to say to people, what we are practicing here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Actually, it's
you are
like funny because really I like to share sometimes about you and the group and the Sangha and what we learn with you, and I don't really know how to do it.
Okay. What you are practicing is to be a conscious living being.
Ah, that's simple. Fine. Okay.
We
It
don't
doesn't have another name. Yeah.
No. I mean, you can feel that you are a Buddhist, you can feel that you are a Jew, you can feel that you are a Christian, you can feel that you are an atheist, you can feel that you are a Hindu. It doesn't matter. What we are doing here is trying to find that essence that is called differently in different religions, in different philosophies, and you can feel that you are belonging to, that you have a special affinity to a particular religion or philosophy. But what we are trying is not to hang on to the little forms of those, but to come to the essence. So if you want to tell somebody what we are doing here, we're training ourselves to be consciously conscious living beings.
Yeah, actually what happens is that often I say my teacher Werner says, and then people ask me,
is he a Hindu or a Buddhist or a Christian?
Who's Werner? And what? Yeah. So then I find myself a bit like speechless. Yeah.
Now
like,
you can.
what does it mean?
Now you can tell them that you asked me, and then I told you that I'm a conscious living being.
Yeah, that's very simple. Okay. Thank you.
I'm not having in any way anything against any religion. They are all basically having the essence in them. And if it gives somebody a sense of confidence and stability to belong to a particular religion, to do the rituals of a particular religion, then by all means. And even if the concepts are contradictory from one religion to another, or even within the same religion, from one philosophy to the other in the same religion, so what? Let's not hang on to those, but pick out the essence. Somehow or other, we have to learn to let go of our mental obsessions to holding on to things, and not simply material things, but also ideas, concepts, beliefs. and learn to be open and experience and connect with that experience, connect with that is what is happening now, that which is alive, which we can name in so many ways and never can explain with those names. We cannot even say we don't know it because it's the most familiar. That sense of being conscious, that sense of being alive. We don't know it like we know an object because we cannot define it. We can see all that comes out of it, all the expressions of it. And yet we cannot say we don't know it, for it is our essence. It's the most familiar. It's always that which is first. And if our religion is our philosophy, if our practice helps us to connect with that, then perfect. If somebody doesn't like religion, doesn't need to go for religion, can just directly connect with their own sense of presence, with their own consciousness, with their own love of existence, with their own energy, the bubbling, beautiful energy of life. If it goes easier with a certain form, fine. If it goes easier without the form, also fine. So I'm not propagating a particular philosophy here. I'm not propagating a particular religion here. I'm not having anything against the particular religion or philosophy, as long as they're helping us to connect with that essence, they are perfect. If we are holding on to the petty little concepts that are different from one to another, then unfortunately the religion is more an obstacle. It doesn't help us. But no matter what the religion we are connecting with or we are feeling we belong to, as long as we remember to turn to the essence, then that religion, with all its forms, with all its rituals, with all its belief systems, can be helpful. The truth is so extremely simple, much too simple that we could possibly explain it, define it, and yet nobody can possibly say they don't know it. For everybody is aware, here, now. And there is always at the base of whatever we are experiencing that something that is so totally familiar. That's something that our attention immediately touches when we say I. That's something that has not changed, although all that we are putting on top of it, all our self-definitions as a person keep on changing all the time, physically, emotionally, intellectually, the relationships, the situation, everything changes all the time. And yet that the attention touches immediately when I say I. In all these changes, it has been that stable ground. The purpose of any philosophy, of any practice, of any religion is to turn the attention to that. If it does that, it's helpful. If it pulls the attention rather away from that, then maybe we better detach from that and come back to the source, to the essence, to that beauty of existence, the base that is prior to all the expression, all the manifestation out of which all this comes. Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om.